What's up, guys? We're back with more Slash FF. It's been a while. Quarantine. Uh, Actually, last time we did this was before quarantine. How have you
Yeah.
been doing, Will?
Well, I been working, so I'm
You been
around ill
shaving?
people all the time. Hmm?
You been shaving and all?
No.
No.
I'm growing my quarantine beard. My mom hates it. I told her
Yeah,
I'm not shaving until after quarantine's over.
it's good.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so this weekend is NALCS spring playoffs for 2020, and the reason I wanted to do this was because I mean it had been some time since we recorded this last, but a lot of shit went down. How does it feel to be an Immortals and a TL fan right now, Will?
Well, seeing as though they both didn't make playoffs, you know, could could be better.
Okay.
That's a little sad, but spring split doesn't matter, so tragic.
Yeah. So the thing is, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that the whole thing with TL being, I guess, ninth place in the standings, right? My take regarding like the actual like rank, like them not making playoffs is very significant. I do agree with that. I think that's like a big deal. But I think the difference of them being ninth and seventh or anything along those lines. Also, same thing with the like upper level teams. Difference between 2 through 4. Um, in my opinion, there's actually not that big of a difference as far as we can tell from best of one. Because if we take a look at like the actual game scores, they're pretty close in terms of like their overall like how their split standings are. Right, it's the difference of like 3 games or so, not including the tiebreakers. So the thing is like this split when I was watching, I really felt like we would have really benefited from best of three this split. Um, just to see a bigger differentiation between like the split standings of the teams. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Watching the best of ones, I felt very chaotic this split, and a lot of teams felt inconsistent. I don't know if you felt best of three would have been a better format this time around.
Yeah, I think a lot of the teams. I think it would just really nice to have best of three to get some like more clear like rankings because a lot of the games are the first half of the split. A lot of the games are real bad. Like they were just how many of the games went to like 45 minutes, like two Barons, and like it was like a throw by one team on like an awful engage or something like that. And then it's like, is that team really better or is it like I don't know. Like it was tough. A lot of the teams just felt really. The region as a whole just felt super weak this split. The fact
Yeah,
that TL didn't make it either makes it even worse. Because it's like the region just felt so weak, and then how do you not make it when the teams are playing that bad? Like the only teams at the end of the split that I felt like were actually like that had actually like really improved since the start of the split were 100 Thieves and EG. FlyQuest I thought just kind of stagnated and got lucky wins here and there. Not lucky wins, but like they didn't look any better than they did early in the split. I felt TSM got worse. I felt FlyQuest and Dignitas got worse. G Golden Guardians got better, maybe. I think they got
questionable.
yeah, like they still have no support. Like
I
I don't
don't
know.
know. So the thing is, like, I would like they got better question mark is because like closer turned out to be pretty good, and that was like something that happened like all split. We found out closer was actually
And
pretty good.
Golden Glue stopped inting.
Yeah,
At
Golden
least
Glue like
at least this past weekend he
yeah,
stopped inting.
Golden Glue had a good final week, and they brought Huhi in. So like it's kind of like they got better,
Yeah.
but they also like replaced the original lineup with a better
Hmm.
support player who's yeah. I mean it's not Keith, so um,
Yeah.
so I mean I guess we can start off with some blame game stuff and just look at the teams from bottom to up and what went wrong this split. I will actually pull up our what we thought the teams would do based on our spreadsheet from preseason. So my list was Team Liquid, TSM, C9, EG, CLG, Dig, 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, IMT, GG. And yours was very similar, but you had C9 TSM swapped, 100 Thieves Dig swap, and then IMT Fly swap. Um, the thing is, like, I think that for our list, we had pretty much agreed that the 2 and 3 with C9 TSM swap was like very much like either team could be 2 or 3. It's hard to tell.
Hmm.
Same thing with EG CLG, Dig 100 Thieves, Fly IMT. We actually agreed upon that it was pretty much like 50-50 on whether or not we thought those teams could swap. Um, Now overall, I gotta say, honestly, like, so TL and CLG bombing out is pretty unpredictable from anyone. I think a lot of people, like the actual analysts who watch this to like be analysts, also put them up there. So I think it's pretty much unpredictable
This
for
split
yeah,
was too hard to predict.
yeah. But so
If anyone predicted these standings, then you literally were just like predicting it just to try to be like that odd guy who wins. It's like the March Madness bracket where they pick the 16th ranked team in the side to like go to the finals and they actually like get it. Like there's no way any actual analyst whose job is to review League of Legends had Team Liquid ninth,
yeah.
had like like Golden Guardians sixth place. Like come on.
The other thing regarding that is that we actually so even taking away TL and CLG, I think the biggest thing that like the one thing people could take away is that FlyQuest probably went a bit under the radar, not for horrible reasons, right? They had a really bad end of split. Most people felt PoE. He was good on CLG, but like a bit of a side grade to side slash upgrade to Pobelter. So it's not entirely wrong to put FlyQuest lower, but I do think that maybe we did underrate them a bit in putting them below 100 Thieves and Dig. I mean, 100 Thieves at the end of the day ended up at a higher place than them, but overall from the standings, I think it might have been more questionable. Um,
Where did I put 100 Thieves on my list?
so you had them at sixth, and I had them at seventh. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
because
yeah. We had actually we also have one based on the cost too, which was TL, TSM, C9, CLG, EG, 100 Thieves, Dig, FlyQuest, IMT, GG. But I guess we can start with CLG, who I believe so. I have it on the spring split pulled up. So they ended up going 3-15 this split. They actually ended up bringing in Pobelter. So looking at their roster initially, we had Ruin, Wiggly, Crown, Stixay, Smoothie. We had rated this team pretty much fourth slash fifth place. We put them at fifth place because we had a bit more faith in EG. But cost wise, we put them at fourth place. We gave Crown the tier 4, which was like so I think so that was like in the same tier as like Cody Sun Someday, etc. I think that did not pan out.
no, Crown turned out to be really bad.
He was oh shit, dude. Yeah, Crown was big boom. That was pretty crazy. I think honestly Ruin, we rated correctly. We gave him a 2. We were very skeptical of Ruin. I think he played at a 2. That was the same rating we gave like um I mean that was the same rating we had going in for like Aphromoo and stuff, who I felt like we were also pretty
Yeah.
correct on. But man, Crown was a huge bust, and I think so. Pobelter in the free agency, we also gave him a 2, and I actually think that overall,
He, he's worth more. The fact that he was a 2 was just because he was not on a team.
I would give him a 2. Like it's like somewhere between like a 2 and a. Well, what did we say for
I
two
would for
based
sure
on
give
that?
him a 3 just because he's NA mid.
3 was secondary carry CT. Oh yeah, sure. I would give him a 3. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
give Pope a 3. I think the big thing with
He was the
Pobelter.
main
Yeah,
carry on that team in the second
yeah.
split. Second half of the
I
split.
think one of the big things though with Pobelter is that we had, and I don't remember which pro player had spoken on this, is that he came into a very failing CLG, so he could have just played and did whatever he wanted. It was kind of a win-win situation in that sense. I know it sounds weird because they went through the 3-15, but win-win in the sense that he could just do whatever he wanted. But I think overall, he looked better than Crown, which was good, and he definitely helped CLG win. And going into summer, I, I, I don't know like if they're good enough still, you know. I don't know what team they're gonna end up beating out once summer comes along because even with Pobelter at his current performance, he's obviously not like a top tier mid laner, right? So I still struggle to see CLG making playoffs in the summer without like drastic changes or like Wiggly really coming into form or Ruin like showing his scrim potential based on apparently a lot of players think Ruin's really good in scrims. But yeah, I don't know how you feel. I don't just don't I still just think CLG
I
has
don't
it.
think this
Yeah,
team's going to be good at all. I
yeah.
think they've been progressing every year that they've been in the league. I think this team would be really fun to be like a GM for and like try to rebuild it. Because in my opinion, I'd wipe the entire roster.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
wouldn't. I think Wiggly might be the only one I keep, and even then,
But
I'd
he
be
did so
tentative.
bad this
Even
split too. Yeah.
I would put him in back, probably back in academy, honestly,
Hmm.
depending on how he would do in the boot camp next year
Yeah.
to see. But it would be really fun to revamp this team. I think Stixay has to. I think Stixay's gone. I think there's a whole revamp team. That's kind of where my hot take comes in later. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
but
So,
get to that.
CLG, I think we both pretty much do not have very much hope for.
What's the? Are we doing when we're doing blame game? Are we blaming? Like, are we choosing each one thing to blame
So
on each
CLG,
team?
I don't even know who to blame because they removed
The
Crown
blame
and
of
they still.
CLG is the owner. for
So
putting
Madison
together
Square
this
Garden
team.
Group.
Yeah.
But the
Nah.
thing is, I don't think it was a bad team to put together, though. That's the weird part,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Stixay Smoothie. Okay, I think the
I
Smoothie like
think
shot
if you
caller
have
thing
to
was
blame
overrated.
someone, you blame Crown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just
definitely.
just because he played like he was supposed to be like the focal point of this team, and then when they took away Crown, like Stixay wasn't playing like a carry
Yeah,
Stixay
I
role.
think Wiggly also played awful.
Well, AD carry is also super hard to carry from right
Yeah,
now.
80 carry was
In
pretty awful
theory,
this
it's
split.
mostly mid. So then when Pobelter came in, it was like instantly. It was so weird to see a team so focused around someone they brought in midway through the split.
Yeah.
Because Pobelter was like the main focus the last 3 weeks, and if he had more time, they wouldn't have finished 3-15. I think they would
Yeah.
have been or somewhere around like a 6 and
There were definitely games they threw earlier on with Crown. There
yeah,
was that one
yeah. If they
one
had
split.
Pobelter and he was like the main focus, I don't think they make playoffs, but I think
Yeah,
they play a lot better than they
yeah.
performed.
I mean, I personally do blame the players' underperformance too. I think Wiggly and Ruin are the biggest defenders of this after Crown. Wiggly made a lot of in plays later on in the split, and Ruin just never fulfills the scrim potential that's always like going around. Apparently,
Yeah.
I have no idea about that, but yeah.
Stixay is just underperforming. They subbed in Wind, and I thought Wind was looked okay,
Okay, well,
but
let's
the
move on from
KT
10th
Academy.
place teams and go on to the ninth place team, Team Liquid.
We
Um,
blame the U.S. government visa issues, guys. We blame. Who else do we blame? We blame
what's the
the
president's name? What's the
coronavirus.
president's name?
Chris Greeley.
No, no,
We
no,
blame the
no.
commissioner for making us play the split. It's worthless.
So,
It's not
so, so,
working.
we were originally going to do this Tuesday, but we got set back a few days, and actually it was good because I actually saw the Double If interview today that came out with him and Obli on the Travis channel,
Yes.
and I love the memes. I love like the whole like if you're chasing greatness, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. I love that commercial plays
Yeah.
all the time. It's
Yeah.
so good. But in the interview, he talks to Avali and he says like, I know I'm gonna get memed to death for like the motivation thing, but he admits like, oh, I kind of deserve it, right? Because I did say at the beginning of the split some dumb shit about motivation, but in truth, like the way he feels is that by the fifth week, because he started losing, he got that drive back, and I totally get that because if you're winning all the time, you're gonna get fatigued. You're like, oh, what the fuck? Like I'm getting all these wins, It's like who's challenging me? And then as soon as you start losing, it turns on. So I do believe that probably he did start getting his motivation back at that point.
I think he got the motivation back, but I don't think he had the double of fire.
Yeah.
It's like when you tell yourself you're motivated to do something, and you keep trying to convince yourself that you're motivated. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
Shit.
It's like when you keep trying to convince yourself that you're motivated to do something when you're really not. You just want to admit it to yourself. Like for sure, Doublelift, like in his mind, he wants to say he's
He really
motivated to
likes
win the
League of
split.
Legends.
Yeah, yeah. In his mind, he's really motivated to win the split. But if you think about it, I don't think he
Yeah.
had the same fire as he did
Okay.
last year on his hunt for worlds. I think he really lost that fire.
It is weird though, because I felt Doublelift actually performed well at Worlds last year, like on his own like
Oh,
personal
yeah,
performance.
yeah,
So, like TL, I felt like had a bit of a decline overall for some of their players during Worlds, but I felt like Doublelift played well. So it is weird to
yeah.
see like him after playing so well, even after like I did feel like he was motivated that he's not doing as well right now. I think part of it is meta.
I understand
Yeah.
why like he's like unmotivated.
Yeah.
Like as much as people want to be like, oh, you should be motivated. You're a professional player.
Yeah.
You play video games. Like he's been playing for 6, 7 years,
Yeah.
8 years. I don't even know.
You
And
went.
then
Yeah.
he went to four. He went to MSI 2 years in a row. Went to Worlds. Like that season's long. 2 straight years of going all the way through playoffs in both splits, winning the splits, and then going to MSI, doing all of MSI, and then doing Worlds, and doing all of Worlds again. Like that's a long split. It's really hard to like stay motivated for, especially when they tell you that if you only want like spring does no influence to
Yeah.
Worlds.
No championship points anymore
Like
this
in
year.
theory, you want to be the team that wins 5 splits in a row, but in the back of your head, it's kind of hard to be like we can like just sack the split and kind of take it easy and the only downfall is we don't win an NALCS championship. Like for players like that, I don't think that like in theory matters to them as much as it matters to the fans because
Yeah.
the fans want to root for a team that wins 5 straight splits. But from a player's perspective, all those guys have won a split before, so it's nothing
Yeah.
new to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Gorgia won Worlds. Like, Brox has won EU how many times? Like, I don't think the spring split like matters to these guys.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's why it mattered so much for tactical and Fire and
yeah.
stuff like
So that's the thing is like if we get a career retrospective on Doublelift, he's been playing since pretty much like season 1 and if we look at the times he's won splits, 2015 summer he wins. 2016 spring he doesn't win, but he makes it to the finals after a struggling TSM during the regular season. They actually make it to the finals through Immortals. 2016 summer they dominant win, go to Worlds and get fucked, unlucky, right? 2017 he takes the break. 2017 summer dominates again, goes to Worlds, gets fucked. 4 years in a row, TL wins every split, goes to international championships, and then gets fucked. So he's had extreme domestic success. He makes finals almost. He made finals almost every single time that he played. 2016 they didn't win the spring final, but he made it there, right? So he knows the feeling. And then he goes to internationals, and it sometimes feels very hopeless. For you to get that far every time domestically and then go international and just it's a whole different challenge. It just makes the domestic championship just so worthless for you. Not just
yeah,
the winning 4 in a row, but even beyond that. Like if we look further back into his career, so I think yeah, again, I totally get that. I do think it's a great meme though. So, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, so I think by the end of the split, though, when I really look at it, I actually think Broxa and Impact played pretty poorly toward the end of the
hmm
split. I think Impact during the last game he picked it up, but I feel like during the last game, seeing Broxa miss like 3 Elise cocoons in a row was just some weird fucking shit. I don't know. I felt like just mechanically Broxa wasn't playing very well, and I didn't know how to judge him like otherwise.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think Core is kind of was playing mediocre, and same with Jensen. But it's hard to tell it's hard to tell with roles support, I guess, where I feel like he had to really interact with different junglers a lot, and Core had to play with different AD carries and different junglers throughout the split. So while his individual play wasn't great, I do think his ability to coordinate is he's kind of put in a tough spot in that sense.
Yeah.
So do you think
So
they make roster changes for the summer? Because I don't think
for
so.
next for summer,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. I agree. I don't think they make roster changes.
So what do you think's the blame?
Well, I mean I'll say first unlucky shit, right? He did make the point that
hmm
Broxa came in late. That sucks for coordination, but I do I still do blame Broxa to an extent in his level of play. I don't think it was great. I blame Doublelift earlier on. Obviously Doublelift, Jensen, and Core should all share a bit of blame, but I think toward the end of the split, the actual play blame I would give to Broxa and Impact.
I blame long seasons.
Okay. Well,
Forgot about Rift Rivals in there too. That's also another
let's
one.
move on from there. We can hit up Will's next favorite team at 8th place, Immortals. They started off, I believe, 5-1, and they
I
capped off.
blame the social media team, Zabertine, Ica, whoever is pushing out anything that has to do with Ica being a good player. Even though he started performing better, I blame him so bad.
Yeah, I think we both had Immortals really low, and everyone was kind of sweating when Immortals started doing pretty well at the beginning. But over time, as other teams stopped throwing as hard, we really saw that Immortals. I mean, it was the same thing everyone predicted. We said this. Other people who actually analyzed the game really said this was that they have no star carries, right? They had to pray Ica was pretty much gonna be the fucking faker of French National League, which everyone knew he wasn't. No one thought he was some insane player. If he was, LEC would have picked him up, right? So
Mm.
yeah, I just don't understand. They had to bank on Ica being some insane carry player because everyone else on their team isn't actually that bad. They're good role players. That's why they're able to make it to the late game and do well. I thought X Smithy was fine. I mean, he didn't play super well, but if he had a better mid laner, I feel like he would have looked better. I think Soaz played well for the majority. There's some games he got fucked, but overall, for his team, he played well. Apollo, same thing. They have players who are such good role players. It is just so shocking that they didn't get a really strong hard carry mid laner. That's just insane. I don't know
Yeah,
why the roster is put out together that way.
yeah.
So do you think they make roster changes?
No.
Why not?
The only roster change I think that they could make and should make is getting Demonte.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes them instantly the best team ever, but I think it makes them more likable with branding and also uh, NA mid next offseason you can look to import something
Yeah.
else.
I think Altec looked good at the beginning, and then they replaced him with Apollo, and I think Apollo looked the the same pretty much.
Yeah, Altec got scapegoated, and then Apollo played the exact same
Yeah.
basically as Altec would have
Maybe
played.
Hako
So
was a
like,
bit happier because he got his boyfriend back, but it's okay.
yeah,
All right, moving on from there, we have Dignitas, who did not make it into playoffs. They lost to the Golden Guardians.
the one rating I probably had right.
Yeah, I was so close to putting them seventh, but I think I put them sixth over 100 Thieves because I was a bit more. I thought Huni would play better, but Huni went back to his spring 2019 form where he's giga inting every game. It was actually insane. Huni looked so bad. I'm actually shocked how bad Huni played because I thought he came off like he wasn't amazing at Worlds, but he was also in the fucking RNG Fnatic SKT group. Like, what can you ask for, you know? Um,
Mhm.
I just my thing with Dig is like it's just so funny how long they took to put Acadian back in, and like they actually have some really solid players. Acadian and fucking Johnson are so good in my opinion. I think Acadian and
Yeah,
Johnson are beasts. I think Froggen he still does the Froggen thing where sometimes he's not affecting the map and he's kind of like trying to do stuff well in lane. But like if you saw the Immortals game, like the way he just dicked down Ica in the CSD department, like it was just Ica was just down so much, like 2 levels, fucking 80 CS. It was crazy. I think Froggen like you could look for better like in theory like there are better mid laners, but I think he's still solid enough. I just thought Huni and Afro were not good this split at all. I thought Huni and Afro were awful. I thought Grig was awful, and they brought in Acadian way too late. I think if they brought in Acadian earlier, they honestly could have made playoffs.
yeah. What I predicted to happen happened with this team.
Hmm.
I expected the team to struggle because you have two resource intensive hyper carries and conflicting styles, conflicting team comps. Who he wants Fiora, he takes Fiora.
And then he doesn't play
So
well. He plays like
yeah,
shit with Fiora. It's crazy.
so he tried. There was multiple times this split where he tried winning the game himself,
Yeah.
and
If Huni just played like Impact this game, they could have done better, but he didn't.
yep.
He wanted to
Uh,
draft some
they
carry champs.
it's too hard. The top lane doesn't have as much power.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's why it was so confusing. Why you spent $2 million on Huni?
And they gave up
Because
Vulcan to Cloud9.
yeah, because top lane just doesn't have any power. Imagine if it was Vulcan Johnson. That's a
Holy shit, yeah.
imagine the future of your roster. And then you have Acadian jungle with either Froggen or Demonte.
Yeah.
Like that's a
You could put a
good
good
future.
NA team together actually with that kind of lineup. You Johnson, Vulcan, Demonte, Acadian, and then you get a top
Yeah.
laner. Probably not
Yeah,
Lorlo. I don't think Lorlo's
even
LCS, but
yeah, even with Johnson Vulcan, and then you Acadian jungle, then you can import a mid that's better than Froggen. Imagine if they actually
imagine if
got
you had Rookie
Chovy.
in the Shy. Who knows? Maybe this. No, I'm just
But yeah,
fucking
they
around, but
could have had an import mid
yeah,
too. That could have been pretty.
spicy.
That team would be pretty good. Like
Yeah.
that bot lane is good for years to come. Like in theory, if League of Legends rosters were like actual sports teams and they would stay together longer than like a year, that would be a pretty good look.
I
So
think Dig really needs to learn from the fact that they fucking dropped Vulcan. I know it was a lot of money, 1.5 mil, but they spent it on Huni, so it wasn't a good deal.
yeah,
I think they really need
yeah.
to learn from that and realize that holding on to their good NA pieces is super important, and that being Johnson and Acadian. Like, they looked really good.
They
So,
also need to learn that like one, don't invest all your money in top lane because it's not the best role,
yeah.
and two, how much is Huni's like personality and like brand really worth? Because true, he does come with a lot of fans,
Yeah,
but are those fans worth $2 million? And also, are they active enough? Because
Yeah.
like Dig as a team still isn't one of the most liked teams. Has a lot of followers on social media, like on Twitter and stuff like that. But a lot of those followers are Koreans who don't
Yeah.
watch the NALCS.
I think the other problem is that, like, they got rid of Demonte, who was carrying a lot of their brand. Like, it's just
Yeah,
so weird.
last split, Clutch Gaming was carried by Demonte and Huni so hard. Their
Yeah.
chemistry and stuff like that. Like they were starting to get fans, and then
They
when
scrapped
the
it, yeah.
Dignitas took over, it was so weird. It was like Dignitas took over, and then Clutch was like, "Oh, we are doing so well. Like, I love the new people." And then once the offseason hits, they just get rid of basically the entire roster besides Hooney. They
Yeah.
stick Demonte stuck in academy, and then it's like, look at our brand now. It's like now you're just known as it's like how the FlyQuest was Snickers team. This team is just known as the team that spent
Yeah,
$2 million
this
on a
is
top
2.3
player.
mil. This is 2.3 mil.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
2.3 mil team. Like that's your branding. Like the, you could have been the young NA team. Like
Mhm.
that could have been your branding. Because with that team, imagine if that team actually does well. Imagine if they didn't have Hooney and they had a full NA team or like a mostly
You
NA
know what
team
they
with
could try?
Hooney.
I think honestly they should try putting Demonte mid and having Ole play support and see if that works better. I don't. It's not because I think Demonte's like insanely much better than Froggen, but I think like having that play style with Acadian would be very important, and I think that would work better. You know?
Yeah, with the synergy, you would have had, dude. That would have been such good branding though. The two best friends mid jungle in LCS. Like, imagine if they're not even like. Imagine if they just make playoffs with that team.
Mhm.
Then that's so much better branding for your roster.
Yeah.
You're known as like the young NA guns, like the young guns of NA.
I
Just a
love
bunch
Jig
of young
Academy.
NA talent players. Like
Yeah.
like that would be like a fun team. I feel like the branding would be so good. I don't know why they're not picking up on this, but
Yeah, instead,
whatever.
Golden Guardians is the young NA team, which is the next team we'll talk about, because Golden Guardians is in sixth place. You might have more talent, you might have more skill, you might just be naturally more athletic, but you can't outwork Grayson, Gregory, Golden Glue, Gilmer of the Golden Guardians. Yeah, they made
Jesus
sixth place.
Christ.
They made sixth
Yep.
place.
Yep. I don't know if it was so much for the. Do you think it was more them being good or the other teams just being
Wait.
good?
Hold on, hold on. If they keep Keith, do they make sixth place? Because I say no. I think they're competing with TL and IMT for who's ninth and eighth. I do not think they made sixth place if they have
Do you
Keith.
think Keith was really that impactful on them losing?
I no, it's not losing, but like think about their final week. How important who he was, getting the 3-0 during the final week.
Yeah, I guess who he played really well the last 3 weeks.
They were 6-10 before
Also,
the final week.
also FBI played really well
FBI's been
in the
really good for
last
yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
FBI's just been like a low key, like pretty decent player.
Well, so that brings up a point that I wanted to make earlier is that I feel like a lot of the 80 carries, it's hard to tell the difference because you either are drafting like Aphelios if you're an 80 carry, and then like
Yeah.
Cody, fucking Bang, and then well not Bang, not Bang necessarily, but like Cody and FBI look very similar because they love Aphelios, right? And then you have people like Bang, who love the utility 80 carries. He's going back to his SKT role, and then you also have the Callista drafting 80 carries. So I feel like a lot of 80 carries have a lot of parity right now. Like Johnson, Cody, and FBI, they love Aphelios. They're the Aphelios like big players, right? So they look very
Aphelios,
similar.
Varus, Ash.
Yeah, I feel like it's very hard to tell the difference between a lot of 80 carry players right now, just due to the nature of the role. I think it's so team dependent that like I think FEI has been playing very well, but I will say like if I were to make a tier list, I wouldn't know where to put him just in general
The
because I
only
can't really say 80
difference
carries.
between FBI and those guys is when they're not on Aphelios and they're on Varus. Because when FBI's on Varus, they win lane hard. Like
Mm,
he is up CS on like everyone.
yeah.
So like I don't know, maybe that's something to because FBI was known to be like a good lane player. That's why they wanted to keep. They wanted someone that has kill pressure because they know that FBI is like
We want
has
someone with hands.
that go. That's why I don't know why they got rid of Volk. Oh no, not Vulcan. They didn't have Vulcan.
Golden Guardians
Never mind.
had
They should have got a different support.
who was Golden
They should.
Year's last? It was Contracts,
It
Froggen,
was Matt.
Hawksir. Was it no Matt? It was definitely in Matt.
Ole. Was it
It was
Ole?
Ole. It was Ole.
Yeah,
It was Ole.
It
It
was
was
Ole.
Ole. Yeah, they got rid of Ole.
Yeah.
Rip.
It was Ole then who he.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this: Golden Guardians. They brought in closer. I mean, we're getting into the
Their
playoff teams
top side
now.
map's good.
Yeah. Like they have pretty good parts. I just I mean we're pretty much into the playoffs conversation in this sense because we're talking about Golden Guardians, but they're gonna face off against the loser of EG and FlyQuest. I don't see Golden Guardians winning that, but we can talk about that in the future, I guess. We can move on because I don't think it's too sexy to talk about like GGS. We thought they were gonna be 10th, they got to 6th. Like good for them. Fifth place TSM. Whew. I don't think Dardock's been looking very good, my boy. Uh, I think their bot lane has also been kind of sad. You'd think Kabe coming from Splice being like the only carry and well, Humanoid was good, but like the only like late game carry for Splice, he would like do better on TSM because they have like a very like I guess
Yeah.
I don't know. It just I know TSM like a lot of the fans are saying like they're experimenting they're just not banning Ornn and like I get that. I do think that's why like they're probably very dangerous for playoffs because they're a team that like when they're playing well they are kind of scary. But I think like overall split consistency they haven't looked great. And I think this is actually something Dom said was that Dardoch does a lot of over engages and I realized oh yeah they do a lot of like weird tower dives with Dardoch that I felt like aren't coordinated, and yeah, I guess that's pretty accurate probably that he just over engages.
Is that who you'd blame, Dardoch
Uh, yeah,
or
honestly,
Kabe?
no, I would blame Dardoch and I'd blame Draft. I don't think Kabe's been playing like the most
I think
stellar,
the
but
drafts have been real sketchy.
yeah,
I'm down to blame the draft as
yeah,
well.
I
The
blame
draft is
Dardoch and
very weird.
Draft. Um,
Yeah.
but TSM's like the team I feel like I can't because they're one of the super like inconsistent teams as opposed to like one of the more consistent teams. I feel like I can't know how good they were until best of five, but I will say like
Mhm.
overall. They're probably a team that would have benefited from best of three this split. I think that their regular season standing is a bit of a disappointment because I mean I had them second, so I thought they would be playing better. But yeah, like it just a lot of their players have good performances and they have bad performances, and it's really inconsistent. So until we hit best of five, there's not much I can say on them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we have fourth place FlyQuest. So they ended up losing the tiebreakers with this 100 Thieves EG FlyQuest combo. And I'll say this: I guess I shouldn't have underrated them. Misfit Synergy has really been doing work for them.
Bringing in
Yeah.
Solo helped them a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Solo was good. I still don't think Wild Turtle's been playing that good great though. Like,
I don't think Turtles. I don't think he has to. ADC just feels so much
yeah.
like in competitive. It just feels so less impactful.
No, especially this split though. I feel like
Yeah,
this split has
this
just been
split.
like
Yeah.
doesn't matter at all. Yeah, I think FlyQuest actually has really solid players all around. That don't like mental boom is the important thing, right? I mean, solo mental booms, but the fact that his team is doing well is good for them. So he's not gonna mental boom in that aspect. And you have Santorin, Poe, Ignar. So yeah, I we don't have to get into it right now, but because we'll talk about the playoffs implications. But as far as regular split is concerned, I think that they had a pretty bad like middle of the split overall, and I think that was more of the performance I thought would happen overall was when like they didn't really know too much what they wanted to play toward. And I think even during the tiebreaker, them putting Ignar on Yumi was a big mistake, right? Because I think Ignar, much like Hillisang, and this was something talked about at Worlds last year, was that putting Hillisang on Yumi is a huge mistake because Fnatic needs Hillisang's roams for early kills, right? I feel that the
Mhm.
same way with FlyQuest is that they shouldn't be drafting things like Yumi. Like you want Ignar to be on the map.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think FlyQuest they did way better than we expected, but we'll get into the playoffs implications later. Third place, we have 100 Thieves, um, and it's a good thing we put. We were debating whether or not we should put Someday at a 4 or a 3 before the split, and then we ended up putting him at a 4. Thank God. And this split he's been a 5. So I think
Yeah.
I think 100 Thieves, honestly, the first half was so crucial with Someday, but I think under the radar, I didn't notice it until I looked at a Twitter infographic. They ended up going like, they were like 5-2 or some at some point during the second round robin. I actually just didn't notice that because I during
Oh
the
yeah, they
yeah
played really well the second half. Media's stepped up in the second half.
yeah I the thing is like I legitimately didn't notice because at first half I just was like oh they win some games like I'll look at Someday's scoreline and I'll know if they're like gonna win the game and then second half they actually like Cody's been playing better. Stunts been doing stunt things by engaging, and if it works, they win the fight, you know. But I think the other big improvement was Ryoma, that he doesn't get dicked down as by all the other mid laners now as hard.
Hmm.
It wasn't some Ica level performance.
Yeah, or Saligo.
Yeah. Hey man, I actually yeah no. Saligo was pretty bad. Saligo was bad enough they had to bench someday. So if Ryoma's not that bad, you know it's pretty good. But um, yeah, I guess we can talk about them during playoffs too. EEG, um, I feel like they really benefited from. Honestly, a lot of the teams benefited from like some teams just sucking a lot, but I think EG really did a good job figuring things out after the first round robin, specifically with Jizuke. If I had to like rank mid laners, I would have a hard time picking between Jizuke and Niski as my number one place. Just like I want to.
Really?
See, I want to say Niski's number one, right? And the thing is, like, well, I personally like because Jizuke lanes really well and he does a lot on the map like pressure wise after lane. I think the thing is like Niski doesn't look as good sometimes because stats wise he won't look as good because he likes to roam a lot. But the thing is like if he were to like that's like one of the reasons they win a lot, which is why like I would still put Niski at one, but it's hard for me because I feel like Jizuke has been performing very well for EG. You know.
Yeah, because for me, I think Niski and Blabber are my MVPs. I don't know
Hmm.
which one I'd put. I think Niski, just because he sacrifices so much in lane to just win other parts of the map. Like Blabber's able to win so hard because Niski gives up so much.
Yeah.
And same with their bot lane.
No,
And
definitely.
then Licorice is consistent and can win by himself.
Yeah,
So
I gotta say I think EG is another team much like 100 Thieves like Kumo for them is kind of like the Ryoma in the sense that he's been like the big improver as far as like a rookie player. He doesn't get dicked down super hard anymore. It's good they have the Aatrox blinds, you
mhm.
know. So that's really
Yeah.
helpful. And Bang, this is the type of team that Bang needed to be on. Someone with a strong mid laner. I don't know what the fuck 100 Thieves was thinking last split using Bang and fucking who's
Soligo.
no Huhi. Huhi was the original mid laner.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that was just an awful fucking idea. But now they have Jizuke and it actually looks good because Bang's like
I
us.
think if EG changes Kumo, they are a lot stronger. But what other NA top is there? You know,
Not solo, not anymore.
Solo could have been on that team, dude. Imagine if they had Solo. That team would be really good.
Their top side would be very strong, yeah. Yeah, EG definitely a lot of improvement. We'll get to them in playoffs. Cloud9,
Darshan.
fuck off. No, no. No, he's not Darshan anymore. He's Zion Spartan again.
Zion Spartan,
Why did
even
he
better.
go? Why did he
Nothing.
change it? Why did he change it back to Zion Spartan? I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know. I kind of like Darshan now.
The thing is, I like Zion Spartan, but the problem is he's not Zion Spartan anymore. Zion Spartan died. Okay, it's over. It's over, Darshan. Stop trying to relive the glory days. Um, Cloud9, not much to talk about. Well, I mean, honestly, we'll just start talking about
We
playoffs
didn't have
now.
to talk about
Yeah,
Cloud9.
we'll get into playoffs. Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. Cloud9 3-0, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they did 3-0 or not 3-0. Yeah, 3-1 maybe if you give them 100 Thieves a game.
I feel like Cloud9 has to get a draft that just cannot scale in order for them to lose 3-1.
Well, I feel like they could lose by just trying. Maybe they try to practice something if they're up games or something. Who knows?
I think that if they draft something that can't as long as they have a draft that has decent scaling, even if they throw, I think they would beat 100 Thieves for the most part. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. Everyone pretty much thinks they're gonna crush 100 Thieves. As far as why they picked 100 Thieves, I think the fun story is that they want to beat them so that they can send them into the TSM game to assassinate TSM. But the reality is they probably scrimmed 100 Thieves a lot, and they probably felt like if we attack 100 Thieves topside, we can probably just beat them in a series like very easily, as opposed to like
And
yeah
that's how they beat them. They smashed 100 Thieves that one game just by attacking Sunday.
yeah. I think the danger with FlyQuest is that you don't want to risk like Ignar and Power Revival doing some very weird roams that might be a bit unpredictable for you to
Well,
like.
they're also unpredictable mid lane champ pool and
Yeah,
like strategies. Like, if what team do you think has more hidden tech, 100 Thieves or FlyQuest? It's
100
probably
yeah,
FlyQuest.
FlyQuest. 100 Thieves is
100
like
Thieves, you already know what you're getting. You're getting a
Zoe
tank
Syndra, Zoe Syndra.
yes, yeah. Yeah, you're getting Zoe Syndra mid. You're getting a tank jungler. You're getting a safe bot side, and then you're getting a big carry in the top one, like a
Yep,
GP, or you're getting a good blind like an Aatrox or something. Like, there's not much they have hidden there.
yep.
Unless he whips out Darius again, that's about all they got.
Yeah. All right. Well, EG FlyQuest. I want to say EG, but
I think
I
EG's gonna win.
yeah, I think EG's gonna win. I just I'm trying to think of a score line because I actually think it would be rather close. Um,
Yeah, whenever I think it's gonna be a rather close 3-2, it's always gonna be like a 3-1 or 3-0.
right, but the games are
That's
close
what I've
though.
learned.
Well,
I think
yeah,
it's gonna be close
yeah,
in the game.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
yeah.
it's gonna be a close score line because that's usually what happens.
I mean, I'll yeah. So I mean, the score line doesn't matter. Like 3-1 EG, whatever. Like that doesn't matter. The point is, I think EG's gonna win, but I think it'll be closer than like if people are predicting like just EG's gonna like wipe them. I think that's just not the case because
Yep,
EG is vulnerable. Like their mid lane is vulnerable.
top is
Yeah,
vulnerable.
top is vulnerable. Like, but it's the same case goes for FlyQuest. Like they have vulnerable mid and top. So I think EG has shown better performance due to the latter half of the split, and that's more important to me going into playoffs. But yeah, I mean they're both vulnerable. So pretending that 100 Thieves is the loser and FlyQuest is the loser, that means we send 100 Thieves into the TSM game. Well, we can do FlyQuest into the GG first because I think that's pretty straightforward. I think FlyQuest will beat GG. Like I think,
Yep.
yeah, I think GG could take a game, but like again, it has to be some miracle performance like GG did this week. But so I don't think that's too interesting. The important one is
Yeah.
100 Thieves TSM. I want to say TSM so badly if they draft well because they have really good like high points, and I think honestly like Broken Blade should be able to handle some. Like I feel like 100 Thieves has a very predictable, like you said with Cloud9, like game strategy, right? And with Broken Blade and Bjergsen, you should be able to beat that game strategy. I just, oh my god, because of how inconsistent the team has been, I don't want to predict it. Like I wouldn't say it was a 3-0 or anything, but I would put my odds on TSM though, because I do think in a best of five they should be able to beat 100 Thieves. But if their drafts are awful, I'm gonna cry. It'll be really sad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean that's pretty much the first round of playoffs. So what was your hot take that you had? We can get
My
into that.
hot take. So after the everything that's happened past 2 weeks, I've seen a lot of stuff about the chemistry and stuff inside of Team Liquid.
Mhm.
And I saw some frustrations with Double F on his stream. I don't know if you saw the clip where he was talking
The
about,
shot calling one.
yeah, the shot calling one.
Okay.
My hot take is after summer, if summer goes poorly, Doublelift leaves and he goes to Golden Guardians
TSM.
if they have the budget.
Why Golden Guardians?
Friends with Hanser, he likes Closer a lot. From if you watch his streams at all, he always talks high regards of Closer
Does
whenever
he
he
want
plays with
Golden
him in
Glue to be
solo
his
queue.
mid laner though?
Well, I think if they go invest in Doublelift, they're gonna have to double down, and they're gonna get a new mid, new support.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna play with fucking Golden Glue Huhi, man.
No, I don't think he's gonna sign. I think if he signs, they're gonna go all in.
Okay.
It's the same. I also thought maybe he could go back to.
TSM with Lena. Boom.
No, I don't think he's going back to TSM.
God
Well, he
damn
could.
it.
He could go back to
Yeah,
TSM,
he could.
but I think there's a lot of conflict of interest in that team, and I don't know if they'd.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I,
That is true
but he
though.
would be
In
with
that sense.
Biofrost again. You know, it could work. I just think the main point is that I think he leaves if they do bad. I just thought it'd be a cool thing to go to. If there was a
Okay.
team that could do it, it would be Golden Guardians. It would be kind of
Imagine
a cool thing.
TSM buys Closer though, and they bring in Double Lift, and then you have Closer Broken Blade, the Turkish duo imports on the top side, and then you have
That'd be
Bjergsen,
real. That'd be a
Biofrost,
sick team.
Double Lift in the
That'd
bot
be a
side.
sick team.
Dude, come on, you can't. Dude, that team could.
Yeah.
I feel like that team is pretty sick.
I also thought a sick team would just be Hanser, Closer, Povelter, Double Lift, and then a support.
Ole.
I thought Ole, but then I was like, nah, you need
Ole
better
has
support
mental
than that.
like he has trauma from playing with Double Lift apparently.
I hate that it's on TSM, but that team would be really good.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely think between splits nothing. So the thing is, we're talking about this from Double Lift side, like he would leave. Do you think there's a situation where Team Liquid would like kick Double Lift? Because I feel like Steve is the type of person who'd be like,
He would never kick Double Lift. He would, well, he might want to kick Double Lift, but he'd let Double Lift leave on his own accord.
yeah, I think
Just because
Steve
he
would
respects.
think about
He
it and be
respects
like,
being him.
huh, I don't want to fuck up like CLG and TSM did. Like, I feel like I mean, you're kind of in a lose-lose in that situation in a sense, right? Because you're like, oh, if he leaves, maybe he
It
gets a
depends.
shit
It
ton of
really
fire.
depends on how Double Lift
Yeah,
plays this next split.
yeah. I also think if they go internationally, it really depends too. But honestly, like if Double If holds the same performance from the end of this split, even I think Steve would really consider like still keeping him and then just thinking about the other parts of the team and like sending them off.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the other things I want to talk about. Yeah, so what do you think about the whole like spring split mattering situation, right? Because I think that like we talked about already the fatigue for double lift with spring split mattering is like it makes sense why it didn't matter, but overall like for the league, do you think like it was good that they got rid of championship points?
I think Spring Split is good for everyone but the players.
Okay.
I think it's good for the orgs because they get eyes on them. They get the chance to be the 5-time champions in Team Liquid's case. It's good for marketing. It's good for the league because they're obviously getting more splits, making money. And it's good for the fans who get to watch more League of Legends content they like. But I don't think the players would honestly want to play a spring split that doesn't matter. You know,
Okay.
that's like would you I think it just comes down to mindset. Like, would you put in so much effort for something that is only a 10% chance of happening? Because only one team gets to win,
Hmm.
and only one team gets to go to MSI. If that's your big trophy, then are you willing to put in how much effort are you willing to put in for a 1 in 10 chance? So I think taking away championship points from spring kind of makes it hard on players to perform, and then wanna like try hard and stuff like that. It's more so on the player's pride. In NA, I think that hurts more than any other region.
Yeah,
You know.
I personally think that they should have kept championship points, but made it like for gauntlet seeding, and like kept it for gauntlet instead of like having it be an auto qualifier. I also think, I mean, personally, I'm a big fan of the expanded MSI idea. That way, you have like an extra team going from each region.
Yeah.
But I know that's a shit ton of money, so I don't know if they're gonna make a. They probably don't want to make a format change like that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think having two splits is really shitty for like players if they have to play a very long time. It's good for the fans because we get to watch more league. That's nice. But
Yeah. It just sucks because if it doesn't matter, if your only prize going to MSI, it's just so hard to be
yeah,
like. Because what if MSI? What if in your mind MSI doesn't?
yeah,
Because in reality, MSI doesn't really mean anything.
yeah.
Like no one really like remembers like, dang, MSI champions. Like people, I
G2.
feel like people just forget that G2 won MSI.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
because they didn't win
the same
Worlds.
shit happened to RNG. Yeah,
Huh.
when SKT lost 2017 MSI or won MSI, and then Samsung won the Worlds, it was like,
It
oh,
only matters
fuck
until
SKT.
Worlds
Yeah,
happens,
yeah,
and then
season.
once Worlds happens, they just forget. Like, so I don't think it really matters for players to like really go to MSI. It's all about Worlds.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, and like Rift Rivals, like who gives a
I
shit?
think they're
Like,
gonna get rid of that next year. To be honest, Rift Rivals is probably gone permanently. Actually, didn't they
shit.
say it was gone? Because it's not this year anymore.
Yeah, they
Because of
just
Corona.
Rift Rivals was so stupid though. Like it didn't like it was just something for the fans, but then you need All Stars for fans. So
Yeah,
like, what was the point?
they should have just done Thrift Rivals instead. Travis's idea, where the bottom three teams fight each other.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. Do you think you think a team that had no chance of making playoffs would tank to try to go to thrift rivals?
See that? Okay, so that was the problem I was thinking was like there's a conflict of interest because what if you want to like fuck around like have, but then I also thought about like players don't want to waste their time like that, Like it would be kind of a
Yeah,
punishment, right? Because you'd have to waste your time like playing thrift
you have
rivals,
to go.
play against
Yeah,
other shit tier teams. Like that doesn't really improve you that much. So
yeah.
yeah, I think championship points definitely like, because I think now the format for summer is that instead of a gauntlet, it's like a playoff drop into gauntlet sort of thing, and I think instead I would have preferred like a separate gauntlet that like spring had a lot of effect, like championship point wise, that you could help seed into. So I think that's like
Yeah.
one of the better cases. I thought, see, I feel like the problem like I like championship point qualification in like Asia a lot, right? Because I think the Asian teams that
Mhm.
qualify with championship points are actually usually really good. Um, IG came in as like 17-1 both splits pretty much spring and summer. So as soon as they got to the finals against RNG and they lost, it was like, oh, but IG's still gonna go to Worlds because they're the other like monster team in China that's gonna go. And like you just like that was really cool. Same thing with LCK. Like whenever SKT would lose summer, like in 2016, 2017, they ended up going to Worlds like because they had such good performance. So it wasn't so much a big problem in like LPL and LCK as I feel like it was in LEC and LCS because like LCS 100 Thieves was not a good team that got sent to Worlds. Like that was pretty bad. Um, Worlds for LEC it was 2018 it was Vitality. Like they did an okay job, but still it wasn't great. I think 2019 it was better for both because we sent Cloud9 and they sent a Fnatic. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it was the worst thing. It's just with only 3 spots, it does make sense to get rid of the championship point qualification. Just to make sure those fringe cases don't happen. Okay. Um, so my other thing is that with the and this is pretty much the last like big thing I want to hit on is like the strength of the league. You said earlier that you felt it was really weak. I do too, but I don't think Cloud9's a bad team. Like I
Oh no,
think
I
yeah.
think Cloud9's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Cloud9's a really good team, but I think strength of the league like is weak because the performance from EG and 100 Thieves, which I felt got pretty consistent at the end of the split, is actually the type of performance like they're the second and third place team right now. I feel like that's the type of performance you'd expect to see out of like the fourth and fifth place team. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like FlyQuest last year, right? FlyQuest
Yeah.
last year I felt like played very similar to how well not similar in game style, but like consistency wise to how 100 Thieves
Hmm.
and EG were. And I don't know. I feel like that means we're missing like the 2 and 3, which would have been like TSM and TL if they were playing well, right? So
Hmm.
I think overall strength of the league, like the mid tier, like we're missing like another top three teams, and by summer, we don't have teams that fill that position. I don't think we're gonna look very good for Worlds if Cloud9 gets like fucked in a shitty group.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. You got any last thoughts before we get into before we end this and LCS goes into playoffs?
Um, no playoffs. I think it's just C9's gonna take it.
Massacre. Yeah.
Yeah, and since it doesn't matter for championship points, it literally doesn't matter for me to predict second place, but just for the shits and giggles, I think based on right now, I think EG's the second strongest team, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go with C9, EG, TSM, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna be all then. This is gonna be Jack and Will signing out.